Good morning. This is the Sativa Segment with Richard Cheng and Daulton O'Neill. This is episode 20, Magic 20. Today we have a very big group that we're about to talk to. But before we get started, I'd like to point out that this episode is fueled by Ritter Spencer Chang, a local law firm in Addison, Texas. We're a full-service business one-stop shop, service a myriad of different types of services, everything from corporate M&A to litigation to regulatory. So if you want to learn a little bit more about the law firm, feel free to check out ritterspencerchang.com. And let's get started. Cody, JR, Andrea, and Andrew. The guys from Dreamz.
We roll deep.
You guys roll deep.
We go.
So for the record, this is the largest group I've ever had on the show, and this is the 20th episode, so I thought it was appropriate to increase the number from 1 to 2 in that first digit and having a bit group.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So let's go down the line and get to know you guys a little bit better, okay? I know a little bit more about Andrea just because I've had prior contacts with her, but I've never met JR or Andrew or you, Cody. So let's start off with Cody. My understanding is that you started the company with your dad.
Yes.
John.
Yes.
John's still the CEO. Mm-hmm. You're kind of his main partner,
the go-to,
the go-to COO. So you run day-to-day operations. But tell us a little bit about you, where you grew up, and how you got into the business.
Yeah. So we're from Oklahoma.
Okay.
And we about 11 years ago, we moved to Dallas.
Okay.
And that happened to be 2018, whenever everything was changing, with the Farm Bill and my dad, one of his buddies in Oklahoma was opening up a bunch of stores, and he reached out to him one day. Hey, what are you doing with these hemp shops? And then one thing led to another, and now we're here. So we started with one store in Plano, Texas, and
the one on Bush.
It's catty corner to like Stonebriar,
Gotcha.
The mall there. And
really, what was the name of the store?
It's CBD Pros USA. Yep.
That was the first store.
Yep, CBD Pros. Yep, and we just had a lot of success, right out of the gate, and we quickly stopped everything else that we were doing. We were actually working in the car business before, and I had been in retail.
Okay.
And so we're like, man, let's just try a few stores and and see what happens. And we had lines out the door the minute we switched the open sign on, and it literally people were coming in. I want a store, and so. It all kind of happened by accident where we created multiple companies around, these first stores that opened up.
So do you think the growth was really a matter of the inventory and the type of stuff that you offered, or was it really about the buzz of the CBD market at the time?
Yeah, I do always say that the timing was perfect.
Okay.
And the products were popular, and a lot of people were just looking for alternatives to feel better.
Sure.
When we first started our store, it was literally my dad and me and my wife behind the counter. And so we very quickly heard some very powerful testimonials and people coming in crying, people coming in bringing in 14 prescription pill bottles and saying they're being pumped full of morphine and they just want something for relief. And so we literally were crying with some of the customers because their stories were so powerful. And so we got sucked in very, very quickly.
Okay, good. Now, I want to talk about your dad for a second, just because he's an older gentleman, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay, being your age.
He's young at heart.
He's young at heart.
You've seen the MJ BizCon, he's stomping around.
Oh, yeah. He out parties me, he out everything. I have to actually be the responsible one sometimes.
So John being the leader of the family and taking this on, being that he's a little bit older, was it a challenge to get him over that hump of having a different perspective on the cannabis industry, or was he all in from the very beginning?
Yeah, that's a funny story. There was a few times when I was a teenager growing up where I think he caught me, and he knew what we were doing. He was always more worried about the law part. He didn't want us to get in trouble. He didn't want us to have a record. He was always okay with cannabis in general, and so the older he got, the more pain he started to feel, and then that led his buddy, once he reached out about the CBD stores in Oklahoma, he said, man, send me some products. And so he sent him a few tinctures and a couple of gummies, and he started taking them, and he wouldn't wake up with a lot of pain like he's used to, and he's had migraines his whole adult life. And within 2-3 weeks of taking those tinctures, he hadn't had I talked to him literally the other day about this. He's had one migraine in like 5 years.
Wow.
Where before he literally used to have a monthly.
That's huge.
Where they would floor him, And so once he, really saw the effects of the products, he was okay with it, and it was actually his idea. He come to me and he goes, he's like, hey, I think I'm gonna do this, CBD store. You want to do it with me? And
nice.
And I was like, I guess so. Let's go for it.
So he had a personal connection to it, and he essentially got over the hump on his own because of a personal experience with it himself.
Yeah, and it's because when you first hear about it and all the things that it can potentially help with, you're like, are you sure? And so we're naturally skeptical. Okay. But once he saw the results himself, and that quickly. I mean, that was a game changer for him.
And then epilepsy was big at that time too. Like that was what we were all saying. Hey, CBD for sure helps with epilepsy. Everything else we'll figure out. I think FDA was already saying it was. So that's a crazy story. I didn't know it started over there by Stonebriar.
Yeah,
but that's really.
There was one customer I remember, where it was a grandpa, and he was holding a baby. Like literally, this baby's probably 10, 11 months old.
Jeez.
And I'm here, I'm helping him, and I'm thinking he's asking questions for him. But he's really there for the baby. And he goes, watch what happens. And literally within 30, 45 seconds, the baby started having a mini little seizure, and you can see the baby's eyes started twitching and I just couldn't believe it, and, but he had told me that they were going out of state to get the product and they couldn't believe that we were open and that we were finally allowed to have these products in Texas. And so he bought products for the baby that day, So it blew our minds really quickly.
But you came from the car industry. Did any of those skills translate from selling cars to what you're doing now?
The people skills part of it, we very quickly implemented 3 pillars of the company, and I feel like we've done a good job.
Innovation.
Of holding. Yeah, you got it. Yeah. So
education.
There you go. Yep.
And
compassion.
Compassion.
Yeah. So we said
leave it up to me to leave out the compassion part.
Compassion, education, innovation, and so we said, hey, let's put people behind these counters that care. And then let's be the company that educates people on this, because we believe that the ones who are going to be sustainable long-term are the ones who are doing the proper education, and doing everything above board, and then the innovation part stands for a lot, but it's just keep evolving, and we've never really had any egos or anything. It's always been, let's get the team together. Let's figure out what we need to do, let's figure out what the problems are, and let's just keep getting better and better from really every angle of the business, and that's what we've done for 5 years.
Well, you guys talk about innovating. If you're not around Dallas, they have 23 stores, CBD pros. They're always really well trained, really well educated. Anybody that goes in there, and I get feedback from it, it's not just because you're on the show, that they're actually there to help. All your people are trained, go through a training process. We could talk 20 minutes about that. And we're going to get to the New Mexico stuff in a while because they're a multi-state operator now. But talking about Texas, you guys have CBD cannabinoid footprint. But also the Texas Compassionate Use Program is our medical program that they've also applied to. So maybe, Andrew, you can tell us about the teacup application, because you guys aren't just serving, the CBD community and the cannabinoids for not street patients, but just open OTC, over the counter.
Absolutely.
But now
and tell us a little bit about you too.
Man, where do we start? It's good to see you, Richard.
Yeah, good to see you.
And you, Daulton. I guess some people may call me a bit of an OG around Texas when it comes to cannabis.
Sure.
Nationally.
Well,
this
is home. It is. And that's where it really started for me, is how do you actually, live in a state that has no culture of cannabis as medicine. And so when I was introduced, I was one of the founding members of Women Grow and started Women Grow Texas. So that's where it started, right, Daulton? And how do you pull a community together and teach them about an option that they didn't consider? But this is back in 2014, 2015, where the original bill started, right? Which was SB 339.
June 1st, 2015.
That's right. Yeah. Which was SB 339. Yep. And that is what we have a foundation of. And we've certainly have grown from that. It's been amended. And so we have a full compassionate use program, but many people don't even know that it's there. And a part of that is from how do physicians actually participate in it, right, Richard? Yeah. To how patients actually know that they can have an option and be a card holder in the state of Texas.
I've always said that physicians are really kind of the gatekeepers to the program. Exactly. If you want Teacup to grow, you have to have not only good physicians, but willing physicians. and you have to have enough physicians.
Certainly.
Right?
Certainly.
And because the more physicians that are the gatekeepers that allow this program to thrive, of having the ability to quote prescribe under the Texas Occupations Code, which is a horrible terminology. I would have never used that term if I had ability to write the statute. But if they, that's how if they have the ability to prescribe for PTSD, we saw the numbers grow steadily, right? And the more qualifying conditions we added, it grew. Right. I mean, it still needs a lot of growth.
Well, we are in a unique situation. As Cody has shared with you, our foundation is CBD Pros. Our foundation is the compassion. And how do you tie that into, as a multi-state operator, as you said, we'll get into, is how do you take that into the state of Texas and expand that? Our footprint clearly shows we have we know how to do it right. And we know that as we presented ourselves in the application process, is how do you address these questions that are a concern for the state? How are you safeguarding things for family, kids? And then how do you have education as the front line for your physicians and then your patients so that you can build a robust program? So we were very thoughtful in how we built our application. We have multiple locations, as you said, not just in the DFW area, but in where else? El Paso, Tyler,
North Austin.
in North Austin. So we have captured a footprint in Texas already that we can meet that need when the state of Texas, makes it open to make those decisions of how do you really identify a good partner for your state. And we've presented ourselves well. We've got the foundation, we've got the team. To be able to
DPS just
deliver.
needs to make a decision.
Just
right?
make a decision because we care about what they care about, and it's being safe access to patients.
We were very fortunate, when Andrew actually introduced us to Andrea and hearing her story, and she was one of the early birds, and just having someone like her helps reduce that stigma. She's not afraid to go in those lawmakers' offices and say, hey, look here, listen. These products help, and so she's helped break down a lot of barriers for Texas, and we're gonna keep pushing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, and for the economic side, do you know how many patients are currently in the program? Last time I was like 70,000.
It's under 80.
It's under
We
80,000.
know that, and the concern of that too is even the physicians who are participating. There's tens of thousands of physicians that can recommend cannabis and CBD as medicine in Texas. And so how do you actually position yourself as a business partner to teach them how to bring that to their patients? So we need it to pass. We need them to make a decision.
And quite frankly, there are a lot of physicians who want to help. And there are a
Certainly.
lot of physicians who want to be part of the program. And this is the area where I get called the most because I got into the cannabis industry through the healthcare side. And, you still have physicians who just quite frankly aren't well versed in it. And they're afraid of, how's this going to impact my reputation? How is this going to impact my Medicare certification if I serve this population? Right? Is this going to impact my DEA registration? So they have a myriad of different types of questions. But the physicians who've gotten into the program, sometimes they'll tell their friends about it and their colleagues about it. And you do see a steady rise in the number of physicians who are enrolled, but we do need more.
We are hearing that things are moving a little bit, so we're hoping.
Okay.
We're hoping.
Yeah.
So we really want that license. So.
And see, for people that are confused, there's hemp stores, there's medical cannabis. If you're on LinkedIn, you think these people don't coexist. You're looking at a company that's doing both at the same time. So people say, oh, you can't do that, or these guys this guy's that. And these are two different entities doing one medical with Texas and one hemp store. And I'm sure defending our right to do hemp stores this session because the quality, safe products, I mean, you said it, quality, safe, affordable access, CBD Pros has been doing. I've never walked in to somebody says, hey, how high do you want to get? That's never happened to me at a CBD Pros. And that happens at a lot of other locations. Yeah. So you have a company looking to do it right, working with the state, because there's this also connotation in the hemp space. Anybody that's actually trying to get a license is like a boogeyman, is just a venture capital, and it's like, no, if you actually get to know the people that are applying for licenses, they're real people, they care, they're working with doctors. And if you think 70,000 patients is a lot, it's not. If you hear that word, oh, that's a lot of people, no, it's not. To 70,000 patients, that's a disgrace. Our patients are being underserved. If it wasn't for quality products like you guys put out, there'd probably be more. But then we lost chronic pain. That's more minute situation, but we only have limited conditions, and the program's pretty garbage, really. If you're
Well, I appreciate you saying that. With the CBD Pro stores, that was like in 2019. Right when we were getting going, and this was turning into, again, it was supposed to just be a couple stores, and me and my dad were gonna have a few employees, and now we're at like 320 now. So it was evolving very quickly, and we quickly told our team, like, the stigma is here, right? And how you guys conduct yourselves behind this counter directly correlates with that stigma being reduced, licenses being opened up. Like, so let's do it right. Let's, avoid some of that language and some of these things that people use to kind of demean our industry. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so the professionalism part of it is very important.
I mean, and you feel bad for a vape shop or a smoke shop where you come in and it's reggae and the guy doesn't know, and he's, oh, hey, when did you start? Oh, I started this morning. And it's like, and I get it. The economy's tough. It's hard to run a business out here. But then you're asking questions. Oh, what about this? What about that? I mean, you're like a hybrid. It's a fun store with fun product, but it's also a legitimate pharmacy. And with people with real conditions and stuff.
I'll say this. I mean, your group is one of the few groups, if not the only group. Now I'm running through the Rolodex in my head that I've had on the show where you actually do have a bifurcation of your dispensaries, both on the adult use and the medical, because I think you said about 20-30% of your total revenues from medical, right?
Yes.
But then conversely, you have the CBD side, which are, again, as Daulton said, they're two very different markets, and they serve two very different purposes. Which
and have different compliance.
They have different rules. They have different licensing requirements, which are all part of your assets. Speaking of assets, you're VP of assets, aren't you?
I am.
Tell me a little bit about your asset management within the organization and yourself, JR.
My big goal is just to make John and Cody's life easier every day.
Is it hard?
It's very hard. Very difficult.
Not me.
Cody looks easy to please.
They're different people. But no, it's been great. It's one of those things that it is kind of easy with the type of people and that we've accumulated over the years. And one of the things that we really do, we focus more on the education. It's never been about the sales. The sales do come with the education, but we really focus on educating everyone in our stores, from on the CBD side to even on the dispensary side. It's never been like you saying, Daulton, like coming in and how high can I get, or what's
do you want that?
Do you want this?
I appreciate the offer, bro. It's like noon.
So it's been amazing. I got involved. I think
we had like two stores.
It was like two stores where it was like the grand opening of the Colony location, which was store number 4 that I met Cody.
That has the big truck outside of it always, right?
Yeah.
I like that one.
I met Cody, and it was funny. We literally talked for like 3 hours at this grand opening, and then it was just one of those things. I left that conversation saying, I got to get involved in this.
Oh, he was hooked. I said, hey, let's go have an official meeting at my house. I need you to meet me at my house. He shows up. Of course, we got some joints on the table, and we have a great meeting.
Smoking some hemp.
I'm in like a full suit. I'm going through.
This
the
is your official interview.
Yeah, it's official
at his house with the joints.
Cody's like this nerd right here. Hit this, Jay.
Cody's in like sweats.
He almost didn't get hired because he was too much of a lightweight. We said, all right, we'll work up to it.
I've gotten better over the years.
Andrew's got the iron lungs. It's different. It's hard to compare.
I've gotten better over the years, but it's been amazing. To think where we've come with, obviously talking about the assets, but having like 4 locations, and now having this huge footprint in Texas. We're in Georgia on the CBD side also, and then now what we've been able to do in New Mexico has just been amazing. And so,
and a lot of people avoid retail. They want to be on the front. Let's create a brand and products, and and retail was always our thing. But people avoid retail for a reason. There's a lot of steps. There's a lot of issues. There's a lot of moving parts, and so JR does a great job of just like handling every single part of just making sure those stores run efficiently.
Well, we talked about trends too in manufacturing. I want to make sure we hit JR with that. What trends? He's a trendsetter. If you can't tell, you can't see
man. I try to be in
his shoes.
Off camera, JR. He's our go-to guy on a lot of things. But what trends? Quick on the manufacturing and trend setting side.
So one of the things that's been really big in the industry that's developing is drinks. A lot of people are starting to get into the actual drinking of THC products. And so we have just launched We have our Brio drink that we have created. We have Catalyst is another THC beverage. We also have a couple other lines that we're in the process of developing, but we're looking to launch those coming this June.
Nice.
And so we partnered up with some distribution companies in Florida, obviously here in our backyard in Texas, looking to do some things in Minnesota, all the areas. But yeah, really excited about the drinks. So.
Yeah, the low dose THC beverages, that's going to take over.
I'm here for it, man.
Well, and some of these, bigger companies are jumping in, and it helps the credibility. You've got Total Wine and Specs and all these big companies that have avoided it. They've been on the sidelines waiting to see what's happening,
Right.
and now they see it. They've seen that where's the harm, right? And these products are great. The liquor sales are declining, right?
Yeah.
So they need something to replace it with, and even last night, it's just cool because I'm drinking a THC beverage that's 0 calorie, 0 carbs, 0 sugar. It's good for me. I'm getting a great effect from it, right? And it's a lot better than a beer, right?
Yeah,
or
Dude,
some of these other drinks. So.
I made a joke. Like, I get sassy if a place doesn't have a real non-alcoholic beverage. Like, I like non-alcoholic beer, but it's like I don't want that. I want another option. And it's ridiculous. It really is. Trying to watch the Stars game last night, it's like all we have is beer.
Right.
Like, you don't have anything else. This is like a nice place. It's like, what are we doing?
The world has evolved, man.
Yeah, the world's evolved, exactly.
Well, and the nice thing with us is, it has evolved into an ecosystem that supports itself, right? Like our hemp company does business with our cannabis company, and vice versa. And so with these drinks, we've got distribution already set, right? So we're going to be launching in 100+ stores as soon as these drinks are made because of what we've got.
Do you
built.
do your own distribution, or do you line up with other distributors?
Yeah, we have a distribution facility in Addison,
Okay.
Texas here, and then we have a master distribution facility out of Albuquerque as well. So,
Okay.
Yep.
And Brio and Catalyst, that falls under the Dream side, or that falls under some?
that's the hemp side, yeah.
That's the hemp side.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
so that falls under.
Yep.
Does it fall under the CBD Pro side?
Mhm. Well, so yeah, we've that's where it's going to be launched first, and it'll be in really every store that we do.
And what's the
business
difference between Brio and Catalyst? This is a JR question again.
Yeah.
Well, it's obviously we're going for, Catalyst is going to be kind of more of our social beverage, right? This is going to be the one that Daulton is kind of looking for when he's out and want to be adventurous.
He pointed to you, not me.
Yeah. And then, obviously the Brio is going to focus a little more on the healthier side. It's going to have, like Cody said, no sugar. Someone like myself that's diabetic, I love it. My wife is like, why are you sitting there drinking all this? And I'm like, well, it's no sugar, and so she's happy. But yeah, the Brio is going to kind of focus a little more on the healthier side of things. And Catalyst is going to be a little more of the social beverage.
They're more tailored to women, and because if you get
Brio.
you get that 35-year-old mom, you got everybody, and so
We
we're
like pretty things.
And they have good parties at their house.
That's right.
Whatever Highland Park moms are drinking, we're selling.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
Now,
for sure.
Andrew's in charge of business development. Are you pushing this stuff out in the stores, or how are you promoting all this stuff that
All
JR
day.
is like managing?
I'm a little bit of an idea guy, so my ideas are spread out amongst the entire company. So yeah, I have my hands in a little bit of everything when it comes to product development, company direction, and so on.
How are you promoting, I guess, the company? I mean, do you have two different strategies when you're promoting, say, CBD pros versus like your Cheech and Chong line on the more of the adult use / medical?
Traditionally, what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis is out there talking to potential investors, people like you gentlemen that may potentially want to get into the industry, but aren't exactly sure how. So I have different avenues to get out there and connect with those people and find those people, whether it's through shows, through social media, through events, through opportunities like this.
So
it's
you
just
helping
really
with
getting out and
capital
networking.
raising, really?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you crushed that franchise show.
I try to, absolutely.
Yeah,
We have one in
Andrew,
Houston next week.
Andrew was a key part of raising money for us to launch such a huge vertical in New Mexico. So he did a great job for the company.
Okay, that's interesting. And the reason I when you said to me earlier business development, I thought you were more talking about intensive marketing and pushing the revenue with the stores. But I'm assuming you're probably constantly doing that. But you're also finding other streams of revenue for capital injection to your company so you can grow in other ways.
Growing revenue in what other ways we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andrew has a crazy background too. He's worked for some very large franchise companies, and so we met at an event. It was actually a concept that he helped create, and it was like a hemp.
Yeah, there's a hemp
bar
lounge.
It was a cigar lounge that was closed because it was struggling. And so it was 2018 when Hemp Farm Bill got passed. And I said, well, why not open this up back as a CBD store and sell hemp and let people consume that? So we started that in 2018, hosted a Christmas party for CBD pros. I got to know John and Cody Fisher, and I got to see the rest of the team that they put together. Okay. And I loved the culture immediately of the organization that they were able to build. And to me, it was a God thing. But a few months later, Cody called me up and said, didn't you say you did something about franchising? And I said, yeah, that's been my background. I've been restaurant, retail, medical franchising for the last 15 years. And then I went independent in consulting, helping people fix business, start business, grow your business, whatever kind of way they needed to start franchising. I had that experience. Just so happens I also had already started a CBD business on my own. So I was making CBD honeys and tinctures and different kind of products that were in a lot of the shops that are around the area. So I had my experience in that as well as franchising. So it was a really good fit to come into that organization. I came in as a temporary basis just to help them. But I fell in love with the people, the culture of the organization. I fell in love with the culture of the industry. People are in it. They're in it together. The people that are really in it are there to help people because it does save lives. It gets you off painkillers, helps you sleep, gets rid of anxiety, helps your mom, your dog, your grandma, all these different ways that it can help you. But I fell in love with the people and the culture of the industry, but then the financials of the organization were phenomenal. They bootstrapped everything. So everything that we've built over the last 5.5 years has been done strategically and financially stable to where we have a solid organization, almost 50 stores. We just sold Houston. We have 18 stores coming to Houston now, right?
That's awesome.
This last week.
Congrats.
So we're building this up, but fell in love with the people, fell in love with the financials of the organization. It's a solid company. And then the most unique thing about our organization is even though we have franchises and we have people that have stores out there, we have a management company as well to where we can actually go in and manage the operation for them. We are CBD pros. We are CBD professionals in all aspects of cannabis, and we have the ability to go in and help people operate their businesses. So those are the key things of why I fell in love with this organization.
It's a really good model that I've seen, especially when you talked about you can flip it, depending on the licenses and everything. And if you want to invest in a store and don't want to manage it, they'll manage the inventory, they'll manage everything for the management fee. Or if you want to do it yourself, you can. But that, again, the headaches of retail. Yeah. Because you're wearing your Cheech and Chong shirt. Can you explain the partnership with Cheech and Chong? And I remember when I was hanging out with you guys. Hey, we're about to close this deal with Cheech and Chong. Don't tell anybody. And I'm like, what's happening now? Now we're
screaming it from the mountains.
You're going Boston. You got I think we got some in
New Mexico.
And so maybe just tell us a little bit, Andrew, what's up with Cheech and Chong?
Sure. So a little history of how we developed the relationship with Cheech and Chong. One of our employees, like Cody mentioned, we have 350 plus and 320 plus employees. One of our employees actually was this somebody that used to work directly for Cheech and Chong. His name's Joe. He's one of our best guys out in New Mexico.
He knows everybody in the industry. He's like you.
Shout out to Joe Trevino.
That's
We met him in BizCon, right?
Yeah.
He's got that giant Facebook group with everybody.
Right.
Absolutely.
He's got hundreds of thousands of followers on his channels and stuff too.
He does a lot of the TV
Gang,
podcasts.
Joe, let's go.
Yeah, Joe's awesome. So Joe introduced us for the opportunity of Cheech and Chong manufacturing products for New Mexico. Because as a company, if they want to be in a particular state, since it's not federally legal, you can't cross state lines. So in order for a brand to be in a state, they either have to go there, set up manufacturing, grow, extract, manufacture, and distribute their own products, or they license with somebody, a solid operator, manufacturer, and distributor, and we ended up getting that license for New Mexico. So we developed the relationship with Cheech and Chong's team and Cheech and Chong through the manufacturing products in New Mexico. From there, they got to travel with us. They saw our retail operations. We traveled with them, found that there was a lot of really good synergies between our groups, them specializing in the biggest brand in cannabis in the world. It's the most recognizable. Name another one that's more recognizable. with the reputation that they have. And then they saw what we were able to do with retail. And
because that's been your forte. Is really retail.
Yeah.
They're good at making the stuff, right? And then they want the downstream experts in retail to essentially sell the stuff.
correct.
Yeah.
It's quality. You feel safe in there. It smells good. Like CBD Pros. I'm not just saying that. I mean, even the one by our house in Wiley. I mean, it's good. You go into all these stores and it's like sketchy this and that, but you guys are always consistently.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
It's true.
It's
I
just
mean-
it is interesting the synergies that you guys have, right? They're really good at this upstream stuff, and you may be able to do what they're doing, but it may not have the same cachet, right? But at the same time, they can do probably what you guys are doing, but they may not have the same level of expertise in really creating that infrastructure of a quality retail.
Yeah, you can't match that brand, and they were apart for a little while, Cheech and Chong, and they when they got back together, I mean, it's been 4 years now, and the team, I mean, they're making waves. I mean, you guys are going to continue to see, like they just came out. I just saw yesterday with like a video game or like a game on the phone, and
they're on like Call of Duty, and
I mean, they're just making these amazing partnerships, and so we're excited to be a part of it. And when they told us that they have a retail concept, we're like, we got to see this, And so we flew out to Massachusetts and for the first one, and we're like, okay, we're going to go back, and now we're converting some of our existing stores, and we already have in New Mexico, and so we opened up the first two, and I mean, they launched double from what a Dream store would have launched because of the power of the brand. You just can't. And then and so we said, hey, you guys are doing cannabis on the dispensary side. What if you guys did on the hemp side? And so they're like, say less. And so within a few months, we had a concept developed, and now you're going to see the first ones opening up in June and July in DFW. Our first one's in Mansfield, right there on the Walmart parking pad.
Let's go.
And
Frisco
you'll
as
see a
well.
Cheech
I'm
and Chong
curious,
pop-up.
how did that conversation come up? How did you approach them and say, hey, listen, we want to be an exclusive provider of, you want to create the hemp side, as you said, and I think I misspoke earlier. I said something about dispensary with Cheech and Chong. It was really the Dream side that's on the dispensary side, right?
Yeah.
So
I
first of all, I apologize for misspeaking, but how did you approach that conversation of how do you bring up to Cheech and Chong saying, hey, listen, this is that partnership we want, and this is what we want to do when we open up a Cheech and Chong store?
I got to give credit, to JB and Brandon and Brooke and just that whole crew that's running the show, because when we got on the phone, we got on a Zoom call, and they started running us through how the product how the products work with their licensing deals, right? And then they were just letting us know everything that they had going on, and then they let us talk about everything that we had going on, and then it just clicked, and the CEO JB, he said put this in an email for me, and because it's a lot, we could talk for 5 hours about everything that we have going on, and so we put it in an email with them, and it just, he's like, I like this idea, hey, what about this idea? And they're just open, and they're really looking for the right partnerships in the industry, and usually when you approach a brand like that, they kind of turn their nose up at you. They've got egos, and they can't do any wrong, but they're in listening mode, and they're really trying to figure out like how do we really represent the Cheech and Chong brand, because it means a lot to people.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't believe when we went to the openings, like people were waiting for hours and hours in line, right? They're spending money to see these guys. You got grown men crying because they got to meet somebody that they watched. And when you really go back to their story, they were really like, they started the comedy scene, and so just for 30, 40 years now, they've been relevant and done such a great job. And so we wanted to attach ourselves to that and see what we can do with it.
And not historically accurate, because back in the day, we were making all these jokes. It was up in the air. Is it true? There was anecdotal evidence. People believed it, but now it comes full circle. I'm glad they've got to see adult use become a thing, Schedule 3 maybe becoming a thing. The United States government's finally admitted there's medicinal value. I mean, that's crazy. That's a historic time. And
one of the other really cool things about them is, like, with us, we're like a big family. You know, we talk constantly, we hang out, we do everything together. You know, everyone's wives is hanging out, everybody's spouse is hanging out, and you know, they're you know, when you start meeting them, and like Cody was saying, you see this like big monster of a brand, and it's like you're meeting, you know, Paris, Tommy's son, you know, Jasmine's heavily involved in everything. Wow. Cheech's daughter, you know, Joey goes through all the product. Yep. Cheech's son, like, so it's a family culture over there too, and so it's like when you start meeting and you start seeing that, it's like, man, you just want to do right, you know, by not only the people that are attached to that brand, but like the people truly involved on the day to day.
Yeah.
And so it's been awesome. You know, you get to see that and witnessing what we did in New Mexico with those openings. It's like, I mean, it's like almost drinking like 10 Red Bulls. You're just ready to go, like constantly.
I love the fact how you humanized all those people involved with that big brand, because everybody knows Cheech and Chong. If you're even remotely, and I've been in this industry for 11 years now. I got in late 2013. One of the first names I heard was Cheech and Chong. Right? But you don't really know who they are. But he did a really good job of humanizing them and just describing what they are. And you mentioned you briefly mentioned adult use. If you don't mind, I like to just shift really quickly because I do want to talk about the adult use. And I told you this is that we never get adult use.
Richard, come on the way, dude. We got adult use.
We got. I'm gonna drill down on Cody on this because and Andrea and the crew, because I don't get to talk enough about adult use. I just because of where we are and the type of guests I'm able to have on this. So tell us about Dreamz. Tell us about how you built out the Dreamz brand. Tell us about the market of the adult use markets, which is primarily in New Mexico, and where you see it going from there. Because right now, like 2/3 of all the states, if not more, are adult use states now.
Yeah.
Actually, right at half. I think we're at 24.
Yeah, it's like every year it's like they're voting, and so it's a really cool thing, you know, to see, you know, and so we were about 3 years in on the hemp side, and you know things were going well. We're seeing, you know, these cannabis markets open up. You know, we originally were like, you know, wanting to kind of go to our old stomping grounds in Oklahoma, but just the market conditions and just what we were seeing, we're just like, man, what state
no
is
offense
for
to
us?
Oklahoma, that market is shot, man.
Yeah, it's, you know, and I think they're getting it. It's going to be great eventually. It's like they're reining it back in, and so one day we hope to be there.
They have a moratorium.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think, you know, I heard that up to 60-70% of the licenses are going to be going away. You know, there. So yeah, it's going to be a big consolidation
in Oklahoma.
Yeah, and so, we were 3 years in, and we're like, man, we need to go be on the cannabis side, you know, because eventually Texas is gonna, you know, open up, and these other states, and so we were watching, and we thought, you know, New Mexico, they were going rec, and we were really looking at the regulations and the rules, and you know, and just really trying to figure out, like, can we go out there and do a great job and thrive, you know, and there was a few reasons why we chose New Mexico. You know, there's a big water rights issue there, so there's a lot of land, you know, but if you don't own your water rights, you can't grow. And so we were like, okay, well, that's going to keep the plant count down, you know, somewhat, you know.
Isn't New Mexico like 2/3 of New Mexico belonging to like Indian reservations?
Yes, and there's big disputes over
and federal
water
land
rights
out there too.
A lot of open desert there, and so we you know, and then another one was the retail, right? Obviously, we were looking at retail. We went and we toured all the current medical, you know, people that were there for 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and we felt like they were pretty far behind, you know, on the product selection, on the looks of the stores, the customer service, and you know, we're like, all right, we can come in here and make a splash, you know, and there's really not a lot of real estate available in New Mexico, you know, just because
Which is odd because there's so much real estate at the same time.
And it's new build. They're building it. You know, they took a big hit during COVID. You know, New Mexico in general, and so they were just building it back. You know, and there's a lot of development happening, and it's a great state. Like you fall in love with it. You know, when you try. We've been through every road of New Mexico now, and it's really cool to see the difference in just the landscape in New Mexico versus what we get every day in Dallas. You know,
it's the land of the enchantment.
And I think a lot of it, you know, too, what Cody was saying is when we were looking at a lot of the space out there, and we kind of know how we operate and what we know about retail, we're like, oh man, we could really bring something special to New Mexico because lot of people were just kind of doing it to be doing it. You know, they weren't inspired, they weren't invested in it.
Well, with medical, you know, there was only like, how many licenses? There was less than 20, 25 maybe?
20, yeah.
There wasn't very many places you could go to get medical, and so they had their audience tap. You know, literally when you get your medical card, you get a list of the 15 places you can go, and then you choose one closest to your house.
You know what's interesting about their medical program, and they might have expanded, but I looked at it about 4 or 5 years ago. They had 33 qualifying conditions. Very expansive. We have like 8 here.
Yeah, it needs to open up.
Right out the gate, they already had a very expansive list of qualifying conditions that you could actually qualify for the program. Now, granted, you still have to go through a doctor and so everything else, but I found it to be really interesting how open-minded they were about that from the very get-go.
Yeah, I think the chronic pain to me is the big one. You know, if Texas opened that up, you'd have millions of people come into the program. You know, so I'm hoping that'll be one of the conditions that'll be added over time. You know. But yeah, so I mean, and one of the things that we looked at was we got to go vertical. You know, I mean, when you really look at it, you know, the ones who are doing really well, you know, and making it in cannabis with all the 280E and all this stuff, you know, you got to be vertical, so you have the most margin available, you know, for the business. And so we started putting the team together, and me and my dad hopped in the truck, and we're driving New Mexico, and we're trying to find the best locations. And so we started securing locations before rec was even fully passed, because we knew that, you know, there was going to be a gold rush to get the best locations. Right. You know, and because
that bank is
the bank location. Yeah, we did it where you can literally shoot the product out the tubes and, you know, and go out to the store or go out to their cars. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, we knew there was going to be a gold rush on the prime locations, and you can't be within a certain feet of another dispensary, church, daycare, school, you know, all these things. And so we're like, man, we got to find the right real estate. And so I think we did a great job of securing those locations. We hooked up with a few developers in New Mexico. Nice. And they're like, hey, you want to do a store here? I got 2 stores in this town and this town, and, you know, we're building out properties here. And so we were able to secure like brand new built out locations pretty quickly in some of them. And when you went to New Mexico in the beginning, it felt like you were, with the medical and how they did the rules, it felt like you were being checked into a jail. It's like zzz, you know, and it's like buzz, and then you go in, and it's like, so we wanted an open, comfortable, inviting concept, right, where you can walk around, you can, you know, look at all the different products, you can read the posters, and you can really interact, you know, and feel comfortable. And so that's what we did, and so yeah, now we're at 23 stores, and we're strategically located throughout the state. We hit the big cities. We also hit the border towns. Nice. Those always, you know, do well depending on what the rules are with the next state, Texas. Yeah. And so you do get a lot of visitors from Texas coming over to New Mexico.
I think I've seen some consumption lounges right when you cross the border. They're like these. Right as you cross the border, you start seeing signs.
Yeah. You see these operations like as close to the Texas borders, just surrounding it. Just waiting.
I like it. I mean, just like Choctaw and stuff, you get there, it's like, you ready? And it's like, sure.
Yeah. So yeah, we're 23 stores. We got 3 manufacturing facilities, 2 indoor grows. We have 4 greenhouses, and so yeah, and we've just been diving in and just really doing the same thing that we did on the hemp side, and just we kept evolving, and that's what we're doing now on the cannabis side. And just like you mentioned earlier, like there's like this little civil war, you know, between hemp and cannabis, and you know, we're just like, man, let's not think of it that way. No. Let's think of it of like, let's build out the distribution, let's get the customer, you know, and the patient great products and what they want with the, you know, within the laws of that state, right? Yeah. And so, yeah.
And people, I think a lot of it is like anti-government, or we don't trust them, but it's like people that are just screaming. I mean, people that want anarchy, go for it, but they're just going to be left. You're going to be left without a license. You're going to be left with bad products. If you want to do like craft quality stuff for your friends, sure, but that's like all you're going to be able to do. Yeah. So it's really, I try to explain to these people that are anti-license holders, it's like, what reality do you live in? Like, you paid your taxes last year. Like, it's just a whole thing.
Yeah, it went from the you know, the industry being pretty unified on let's get more access to the plant, and then now it's, well, now you can have access to the plant, but it has to be through me.
Right, you know? Exactly. Or the Cannabros, which like I'll identify as a Cannabro if I need to. But all these guys in California, we have that's not fair. That's not fair. How come 280E, this and that? It's like, y'all sound like some narcs right now. Y'all sound like y'all sound real butthurt. Because in LinkedIn, it's a war. It's like, oh, you idiots in Texas. It's like, you haven't been here in a minute, bro.
Yeah.
We got better quality products at the CBD Pros and the places around town that they do with no 30% tax and all this stuff. So I know we're winding down a little bit of time. Rico, did that quench your thirst of an adult use market question?
Sorry. Yeah, what do you got?
Yeah, I still have so many questions, but we are running out of time.
Left you with some blue balls.
I guess. Thanks, man. We're not wearing that.
No, there we go.
But I am curious. I mean, has it been more of a challenge to be vertically integrated on the Dream side? Is it more costly? Are there more regulatory hurdles? Are there more external concerns that, within the community for potential criminal activity, whatever it is, in any type of politics you have to navigate? What's really been the contrast between the Cheech and Chong hemp side and your Dreamz dispensary side?
Yeah. That you get everything you said. Yes. I mean, I literally have gone in front of city council members, in Roswell, New Mexico. Yeah. They're pretty conservative, and they limited our hours. They said, well, because you're cannabis, you have to be closed by 7, and we didn't think that was right. So we spent money. It was like $7,000-8,000 to get in front of these guys. Yeah. And
too many guys on the council watching Reefer Madness all these years.
And they didn't like it, because I pointed out, okay, so we close at 7, but the liquor store can be open until 2 a.m., right? Mm-hmm. And what's the number one leading cause of death for young people in New Mexico?
Right.
Oh, okay, yeah, we're the problem.
Yeah.
And we did get denied. We're still,
we're still working
7. But we tried,
You got to tell them we come alive in the nighttime.
But it really, what I found was it really wasn't that they hate cannabis. It's that they do have that fear. They're scared, and
it's a scare of the unknown.
Yeah, they don't know.
That's what it is. And there was multiple council members. They said they're like, we're saying no, but it's really a not yet. And so they're like, give us some time. We want to see what happens with crime, and and we're 2.5 years in, nothing's happened. Everything is fine. Let's calm down. And so I think we'll continue to open that up. But for the most part, I mean, New Mexico has been great. They really they want the tax money, and they're there they're fine with the relief for citizens, right? And they do know that alcohol and they have these big problems that cannabis. When you look at the data, when you're switching from these things to cannabis, there's a lot of positives, and so.
Way into the patient that had to go keep getting meds from out of state. Right. I mean, New Mexico's in a state where they need to keep their population. We're in an interesting population shift in this country. Like if a state's smart and wants to keep their people, it's the whole thing. We got a couple minutes left. You want a rapid fire?
Yeah, rapid fire. Just give me one statement on what you think is next for Dreamz / Cheech and Chong, or Dreamz. And
then where to find you guys and any cool projects.
Keep it short.
How I've been describing it to people is we're really building out 3 main avenues right now. So on the hemp side, you're going to continue to see us launch brands and launch more retail with Cheech and Chong, Apothecaria. We've got the cannabis side. So right now we're talking to 4 or 5 different operators in other states that want to bring Cheech and Chong to their state. And a lot of people in the industry, they get these licenses, and then it's like, well, what's next? Now I need operators, I need experts, and so we're really positioning ourselves to be that team. We can save you a lot of money and a lot of headache because we've been through them. And then now, like you was saying, we're really excited about the hemp beverage space, and so those are really the 3 main avenues we're going to continue.
It's exciting.
One statement.
Oh man,
I took them all. I'm sorry.
He stole.
Sorry. I mean, I think I just to continue doing big things, and just continue to grow.
Andrea, the OG.
Listen, we like being first, and we like doing things well, and we've just been in a very unique situation. And we just happen to be in Texas, and just stay tuned for Cheech and Chong Apothecaria. Look out for Cheech and Chong coming to Texas near you. Yes. But we are partners in this industry. It doesn't stop. We're just at the beginning. And so if people are still interested in getting in cannabis and in hemp, look to us as a partner. Give us a call. We certainly want to know what you're doing and where we may be able to support you in that.
15 seconds.
If you want
All
a
right.
store,
15, 30 seconds.
All right, I'm going to have her say the website in a second, but you know, I'm not good under pressure with 15 seconds left. But you're not going to find a better partner. We have the ability to go into any kind of cannabis operation or any kind of opportunity where somebody's wanting to get involved, and we can fit into their needs. We can operate everything for them. We can grow, extract, manufacture products. We can do retail professionally. So we can fit into any of those things. So as we're looking at different states, as we're looking to grow out there, you know, we have a very big opportunity on the cannabis side to go vertical in almost any state that has cannabis. And then on the apothecaria side, the hemp side, we can go into any state, mainly concentrating on states that don't have heavy cannabis. But if you want to contact us, you can go to our website
at DRMZbrands.com. So it's Dreamz, DRMZ Brands .com, and connect with us. We can't wait to meet you.
Awesome. Hey, this is one hell of
it's a great
session.
episode. We'll have to run it back.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Thank you guys.
It's been great. You know, this is thank you for coming on the show, Cody and JR, Andrea,
Happy Friday.
Andrew.
Coming to a Cheech and Chong near you.
We're
That's
5
right.
minutes away, right?
There we
that's
go.
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's right.
Exactly.
Thanks a lot, guys.
All right,
we
thank you for
appreciate
having
you
us.
Thanks
guys.
for having us.
Yeah.